Hello and welcome to White Hat versus Black Hat SEO Show. My name is Josh Bachynski. With us today we have the awesome Steve Fantasia. Say hi, Steve.
Hey.
Also joining us today, we're very lucky. We have NFG SEO, both Mike and Brad from NFG SEO. Say hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Oh, what up, everyone?
I always have that going. There we go.
Oh, yeah, I gotta.
Sorry, say hi.
Hello.
What up?
So today, I'm not sure where Chase is. So Brad Mabry will be playing the part of Chase. And so he'll have to, unless Chase joins, then maybe Chase can play the part of Brad Mabry and tell us.
I doubt he can do that, but he could try.
He could try. The often duplicated, never properly duplicated, Brad Mabry.
Often imitated, never
Everyone's
duplicated.
too tall to do it right, though. So.
And so whenever Brad talks today, he has to use the rant hand like this. And he has to get into a rant. He has to just be quiet for a while and blow up into a rant at some point, use the rant hand, and drink from a big jug of water.
There you go.
So that's what we're doing today. So welcome to the show. For those of you who have never watched White Hat versus Black Hat before, White Hat versus Black Hat is an SEO show. In fact, the best SEO show that exists, period. We discuss both White Hat SEO and Black Hat SEO. We give you all the tips, the tools, the tricks of both how to do White Hat SEO and Black Hat SEO. And we also occasionally rant or get into friendly debates as to which is better, White Hat SEO versus Black Hat SEO. Typically, I take the role of the White Hat SEO, as some Black Hats call me. I'm the pussy White Hat. And only one person calls me that, and I let her do it because she's fantastic. That's Holly. And then other times, other guys will take the side of the Black Hat SEO. That's typically Mike or Brad in this case. But today, maybe we'll mix it up. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? Maybe Steve will argue for the Black Hat SEO side.
Yeah. Quality content, distribution. Yeah. If you make it, they will come.
Exactly. Yes, there's all kinds of jokes there. I will move quickly on to the first topic. So the first thing we're going to discuss today, our regular segment on our show, is what's new in White Hat and what's new in Black Hat SEO. So what's new in White Hat SEO, I'll take that first. And in fact, I will even share my screen so that people can see what I'm talking about here. So quite recently, Google has been giving us a couple leaks here. Do you guys see that word screen here?
Yeah, can you make it a little bigger?
I could, maybe. I don't know.
That's what she said.
It's a little better.
Yeah. That's what she said. Can you make it a little bit?
To which I replied no. Yeah, okay. There we go.
So quite recently, Gary Ilyish, who is a webmaster trends analyst at Google, he works in the Zurich, Switzerland office with our friend John Mueller. He has been tweeting out these did you know tweets, DYK, did you know tweets. And actually, if you're not following him on Twitter, you really should, because I found that some of these tweets are actually quite interesting. Gary works a little bit closer with the engineering team than John does. And so Gary actually usually has, I'm sorry, John, but better information than John Mueller does. And so when he tweets something out that's kind of blunt like this, it's usually a good idea. Usually a good idea to pay attention to what he's saying. So this time, a couple of weeks ago, he said, did you know usually when you see more than 2 results from the same site in the SERP, that's because other results score much lower for the query. So what do you guys think about that?
Quality score.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really interesting. And he said score. Now, old Googlers will talk about PageRank in terms of scoring a page as well. So he might have been talking about PageRank, but I think he was probably talking about quality score there.
Well, you know, they're going to initially deliver based off of that, but then there's so many things they've done that modify the actual SERP after they've done that first analysis of the query. So it's going to happen. I mean, that's all rank score modification. Jimmy Kelly and Marco from Semantic, there's a bunch of people that have been digging into that stuff, and I think that it's spot on. You know, we've talked about this for freaking years, actually, Josh. You know, so
yeah, true, we have. I mean, both Black Hats and White Hats have been paying attention, have seen this coming. Miley Oye from Google, she doesn't actually work there anymore. That's how old school she is. She doesn't work there anymore. But Miley Oye, she used to be a programs tech lead, and she's been talking about terminating the search literally since 2012. So, you know, when she's talking about it and she goes to SMX, which is a conference ostensibly to tell all the White Hats what we're doing, to throw them a bone, if she says, you guys better be terminating the search, then you better be terminating the search, right? And there's I'm not going to rant about this. The listeners have heard a million times us rant about this, so I'm just going to take it as gospel that everyone knows what we're talking about now. But yeah, I definitely think it's quality score. And to give an example of what he's talking about here, I'll share my screen again. So he's talking about screens like this. So check out this search results page. You see here, the whiskey wash shows up like 3 times, and you see here that like drink hacker shows up 3 times. So when you come across a search result page like this, what does it tell you? I'll tell you guys what it tells me, but what does it tell you guys when you see something like this?
Build more pages for that query.
Yeah, competition's weak. That's what I see.
Exactly. Precisely. Based directly on what Gary Ilya said, if you see a search results page like this where Google has no better option than to show 3 or 4 pages from the same site, and they did it twice, that says, hey, this search query, this lost, in this particular case, it was Lost Spirits Whiskey Review. That means that there is very low competition for this keyword query, and it doesn't really matter how many links they have. The important thing is, as we're talking about, is the quality. That means the quality of all the other results is quite low, and it should be pretty easy to write a page to beat them. All you have to do is be in the sweet spot of what people want versus what you want to tell them. You want to be right in the middle. My face is.
I see that. It's a good picture for me to take home with me. Steve, what that result?
Thank you for I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, sir. Okay, the next thing I want to show you guys here is, let me share my screen again. John Mueller just had a recent hangout that I was also on, and I wanted to show you what he talked about there. There's only a couple of good things he talked about. He talked about this other stuff here. You can read the screen while I'm talking if you like. But down here, he says, John Mueller claimed that even the past, I can't even understand my own words. The mobile first index, they talked about it was going to be crawling just mobile. Now John Mueller has changed his tune again, that they're also going to crawl mobile and they're going to crawl desktop. So first he was saying when this mobile first index was coming out, he was only saying they were going to crawl mobile and that the desktop site was going to be ranked on the mobile signals. Now he's saying that, oh, we're also going to crawl desktop too. So on the one hand, it's kind of silly of SEOs, myself included, to be listening to everything John Mueller says, to be worried, oh, the sky is falling, they're only going to do this, because it's really early, right? The mobile first index is nowhere near being deployed. At best, they're saying they're going to be deploying it by the end of this year, by the end of 2017. But then again, at the same time, it's kind of makes some sense to listen to it, to have some idea of where they're going. So now the word on the street is, however much you believe the changing opinion of what John Mueller says, is that they're going to crawl the mobile site, but they're also going to crawl the desktop site. And that means, he didn't say this, but that means for me, ostensibly, they're probably going to be still ranking the desktop site on the desktop signals and the mobile site on the mobile signals. They're just going to give you the mobile site first. That'll be in the primary index, and maybe desktop will be in the supplemental index, maybe? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I just think there's reasons they wouldn't want to break them apart. Certain detection reasons and things that I'm not going to necessarily tell everyone, but if you think about it and start digging into it, you'll realize that there's reasons why they would want to keep that together in this new freaking database, or crawl it and kind of analyze it together.
Right. I mean, this is why on the same Hangout, if you watch it, I think it was March 24th, I started grilling him on exactly what algorithms are going to update. So I said, okay, so the Googlebot algorithm, that one's going to change. You're just going to switch the user agent detection from desktop agent to mobile agent. He's like, yeah, okay. I said, okay. So the next one in the chain is called caffeine, and caffeine is their indexer. So I said, caffeine probably isn't going to change. The indexer is going to index all the pages. It's going to filter out any duplicate or thin content that it detects automatically, which they do, by the way, which you guys probably know. I'm talking mostly to the...
I actually looked at something today that, yeah, exactly. Reminds me of work.
A whole site.
And you guys have your hacks into every way you can exploit each of these algorithms. You guys are already doing it. But caffeine, so I said it, so I'm talking to John Mueller. I said, this probably won't change. You guys were just going to index the same content. He's like, he's getting more cagey because he's like, he doesn't like this laser surgical diagnosis of what's going to happen next, right? Then I said, okay, so Hummingbird is the next algorithm, which was a complete rewrite in June 2013 when they started doing the entity database, when they started ranking things and not strings. I said, That's probably not going to change at all. You're still going to extract whatever entities you can from the page and create your entity database. And we now know that they also, Gary Ilyash recently mentioned at SMX West that they don't crawl the HTML, they crawl the document object model, and they parse the document object model. And so he said, he kind of waffled a little bit more. He didn't want to answer that. I said, and after that, then you're just going to change the 200 ranking signals based on what's going on, or will you? Because as far as I know, all we would have to do to make this mobile first index is just switch the Googlebot algorithm. That's all they have to do, if you think about it. And then that's where he stopped talking. And so that means to me, yes, they're going to change some ranking signals. They're going to need to. And his answer to that was, well, we're going to crawl both the desktop and rank the desktop, and crawl the mobile and rank the mobile. So I don't know. Do you guys have any speculative kind of thoughts about that, or
that they're already tweaking and dialing up some of those changes for those signals right now? I mean, I think that's what certain flux is in certain markets anyway. So I mean, I think they're spot on with what they're doing. It's all come back down to turning and dialing up the machine learning, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is their former head of artificial intelligence, John Gianandre, is now their head of search. So when the former head of AI now becomes the head of search, you know everything's going to be AI first, and that's what they say now. They used to say mobile first, and they say AI first. So it's all going to be AI first. So anyway, that's the latest scoop on what's going on there. Finally, just in that same hangout, John, I won't bother showing my screen. I'll just read it out. John Mueller mentioned, he was asked if Google uses heat mapping to rank a page. Now, for those of you who don't know what heat mapping is a great tool where you can see, it tracks different things, usually mouse movements, but sometimes it even tracks eye movements if you have the hardware to do so. And it shows the heat map.
On that, by the way. They do.
With the eyes?
Yes, they do. It's not. I don't remember if it's them directly from the works farm, but there is a patent on the eye movement.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It tells you a lot of information, and you'll be very surprised about what people look at on your page.
Android. If you have an Android, read your terms of service and talk and look, see what they can do.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is that, if you start reading the terms of service, you start getting a sense of not only what is barred from them, but maybe what they could be doing. Yeah. But my point here is that John was directly asked if they use heat mapping, and he didn't deny it, right? Usually he would outright deny such a thing. He'd be like, no, we don't do that. He said, I'm not sure, ... right? So that's leaving heat mapping potentially in the equation. And that would be a great way for them to determine the quality of what's going on if they see where your mouse is moving, because they already track the mouse movements, and that's how they do that their new CAPTCHA, right? They bragged about a year ago. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was about a year and a half ago. They bragged that they can have one button click CAPTCHA because they check the mouse movements and they can tell within a certain range of certainty that you're a human being the way you're moving the mouse, and you click the. That means they're always watching the mouse, so they have the ability to always watch the mouse as long as you're using Chrome.
Right.
Okay, so that's what's new for White Hat SEO stuff. I don't know if the Black Hats want to mention what's new for Black Hat SEO, but if there's anything new for Black Hat SEO you guys want to mention, by all means, mention it now.
I just think everyone needs to be paying attention to certain signals. I mean, it all. Remember, I said it last time when we were on. It comes down to the return on everything that you freaking do. So start paying attention to what you're doing with your traffic, where your traffic's going, how you're dealing with your traffic, and where you're sending your traffic. And if you're not, whether you're white hat or black hat, then you need to start paying attention to it. I think a lot of people get into trouble when they focus on rank only. I see it a lot. People that come with questions and concerns. It's important to focus on KPIs rather than freaking ranking. Black hat, focusing on KPIs, key performance indicators, and looking at your returns instead of worrying about rankings. And it's not new. I'm just going to call it new today because the people I know, they focus on their returns or we wouldn't be doing this, but it's something that needs to be said to people.
Steve asked, did you mean kittens and puppies? No, not kittens and puppies.
Bunnies. Yeah, bunnies, yeah, exactly. That's
kittens, kittens, puppies, and bunnies.
Steve has a bunny farm in his backyard. Did you know that? Josh? That's a little known fact about Mr. Fantasia.
It was a little known fact.
Oh yeah, now it's not.
Now all of 2,000 people who eventually watch this show will know.
They will know. Yeah.
Largest
Damn
bunny.
it all to hell.
North
Okay.
of
Yeah, I mean, nothing new for me. Just all comes down to traffic and where you send that traffic. And I mean, if you want to take a that could be completely white hat, but if you want to take a black hat stance on it, it's how you manipulate that for rankings and making more money. So it's all the same. Nothing new. It's huge. Even Fred, whenever that came out, last month? I mean, it's all the same. What Mike and I had been saying for a year plus, probably more than that for Mike, but a year plus for me. It's all the same. Traffic. Without traffic, the links are being disqualified without traffic. So just keep that in mind. Whether you're white, black, yellow, green, whatever, red and yellow, black and white, they're precious in the site. Yeah.
Polka dot. Even Alex Becker, I mean, this is public knowledge. Alex Becker put out a video showing how he makes social pages and drives social traffic through pages, either from Facebook to this or from this to Facebook or whatever it is. And that is a way that they're getting these links counted, or that, so he claims that that's a way he can rank pages really quickly.
A buddy of mine named Colin and I about 3 years ago started putting a process together directly for that really, even before these tweaks and dial-ups started happening, if you think about it, when you focus on traffic, whether you're focusing on the algorithm, it's going to increase engagement and usage of the site anyway. So if you're doing it right, it should help to ultimately, if you're retargeting, if you're doing everything right, it should ultimately increase the bottom line. So it's just whether or not, and this is, I had a debate with someone the other day about theme. Does theme matter on this stuff? And they made a good argument for, look at this, and theme didn't matter. But my point is that theme matters ultimately because you want to return on things. If it's not themed, you're not returning on it, and it's not going to make money for you or your clientele. So theme is absolutely important, even when it comes to traffic on your links, because that's what converts for you. And so there you go. And for Larceny, who's asking about if I'm wearing a beanie, no, I'm not wearing a beanie. I'm wearing a hat. Stop asking.
You can barely see the lip of it on the side when you turn a little bit. You can barely see it. There you go. Proof. Wow, a black hat who provides proof of what he says.
There you go.
This is a very sorry, Mike. This is a very interesting discussion because you're absolutely right. Now, on the white hat side, we don't really have to worry about it too much, theoretically speaking. If we have earned links on real blogs that have real traffic, and if our link really sounds interesting, then people will click on it and come through to our site. So we'll have that metric. And if we really care about quality, then theoretically speaking, I put an underline under theoretically speaking, the page is already made in such a way that it terminates the search, that it converts, that it informs, it does what the page is supposed to do. But of course, you and I both know that whether you're white hat or black hat, the vast majority of the time, I do hundreds of audits a year, and like 95% of them, their sites are just not good enough, right? Google is holding us to a much higher, white hat or black hat, Google is holding us to a much higher standard, and we have to make our pages terminate the search. Now, Steve, this is an interesting point to talk about Facebook, because when it comes to your Facebook fan page, as I understand it, Facebook has a totally different philosophy. They don't necessarily really care, because it's a pay-to-play system. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because it's a pay-to-play system, Facebook doesn't really care if real human beings are really using your fan page. You can still advertise in various ways.
Yeah, Facebook doesn't care what you do with your fan page. You need one in order to advertise, but it doesn't work like that. It won't discount or anything. And if you actually go into your fan page and you look at the insights, you can see that you're only getting 2 or 3 people a week are actually leaving the fan page of their website. So it's kind of a holdover from 2010.
Now, do you think that they'll ever change that philosophy? Do you think they're going to go the way of Google in the future?
Yeah, what they're probably going to start to incorporate like more live video and more video hosting and try and duplicate kind of a YouTube model. That's a 4-letter word for Facebook, is YouTube and Google. But they really want to become that. They actually want, Zuckerberg has said that, actually, look, I'm name dropping now. Not that I talked to him, but Zuckerberg has said he wants to replace website pages, websites. That's his goal. That people just stay on Facebook for everything. So they're going that way with the messaging and the chats available and the apps and shopping.
Right. So then it stands to reason then that eventually quality is going to be important for them too.
Well, I think for people to look at it even at a simpler, like with what Steve said, from a simpler angle, is also think about what's best for the business at hand, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, Amazon. Steve's talking about him trying to replace websites. Well, of course he would want to do that because that keeps the revenue and the traffic on his site, and that increases their bottom line. So whenever you're going into any system to manipulate it, think about what the business decisions would be for the system you're going into to kind of deliver what you want to deliver with that system. You need to think about what that bottom line would be for that business, and why would they make certain decisions, because they do this for money. No one's doing it out of the kindness of their heart, whether they tell you they are or not. They're doing it for money. So looking at those systems like that, I think you can kind of see where they and why they make certain decisions.
You know, Josh, made me think of something too. They already kind of do that right now, because if you do a post and you'll reach between it's almost as down 1% of your total fan base. But the more engagement you have, you'll start seeing that. If you went on Katy Perry's fan page, which I'm sure you're a big fan of.
I'm on it now. Yeah.
Everything she puts out, probably reaches 80% of her traffic for free. So it's free organic traffic, and that's because of all the fan page engagement, all that kind of stuff. So they do use that for their fan page in terms of reach, but it doesn't have any impact in terms. You can bypass that entire thing by just throwing an ad out. But yeah, for your fan page.
And do you think that as we see in Google AdWords, the price for advertising goes up and up and up over time as more people are in the system or are bidding, that drives bid prices up? Mm-hmm. Do you think Facebook is going to have a similar problem moving forward?
Absolutely, because right now there's 53 million fan pages for businesses, but there's less than 2 million businesses advertising. So just do that math. The more crowded it's going to get, I mean, it's going to be insane as it moves forward. And TV is really dead. TV advertising is practically going to be dead in the next 2-3 years. It's going to be a ghost town, just like Google.
So that means if you want to do Facebook advertising, you should start now.
Yeah, you really should get in it, because what's going to happen is something like Facebook's going to start charging for likes, $2, $3, $4 a like kind of thing. And you're going to find yourself in the next 4 or 5 years needing 10,000, 20,000 likes to stay relevant, and you're going to have to be buying them. It's going to be very expensive.
So then that leads us to our next segment, which is the primary segment of the show, which is what is better, black hat or white hat? Or to put it the same way, what is better, using the rules of the system as it's intended by the creators, or breaking the rules of the system as you see fit to make money?
Well, bend the rules. Nobody breaks rules.
Bend the rules. Of course, yeah, you're right. We can't break the rules, really. It's as good of hackers we are. Maybe NFG SEO might in this case give an F and disagree with me. But
I like bending. And
we can't really break the rules, though.
I like my rules to be flexible. So.
It depends on what you're trying to do, right? Do you want to wait 10 years and develop this great, culture, or do you want to just make money tomorrow? I think that would be my question I would ask somebody, white hat or black hat.
But Steve, just to play devil's advocate, so let's say we do more of a black hat, guerrilla style kind of tactic on Facebook you're talking about.
Yep.
Doesn't the same thing that happens to black hats in SEO going to happen to black hats in Facebook? We're going to be breaking the rules. And it's always going to be a cat and mouse game of Facebook catching us, we change something. Facebook catches us, we change something. Isn't the scales incredibly unfair in Facebook's favor that these guys are going to get caught eventually?
Well, yeah, they have a very stringent terms of advertising. But if you ever read it, which some of us have read it various times, it's very entertaining reading. If you're ahead of the curve and you keep looking at it, then you're going to just stay one step ahead of them. Who's not going to stay ahead of them is the people who maybe watch a YouTube video or whatever and learn a tactic that worked in December, but they don't pay attention in July. They released an update, and so that update means you have to change this, change this, change this. So I mean, I think the people who are leading are always going to be ahead.
Brad's pointing at himself.
No, I was scratching. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at yourself.
No, I really was scratching, but yeah.
I thought you were doing the Blake thing, like this.
Yeah, it comes down to that when they close a hole opens is usually what I see with every single system that I'm looking at. So when they do close something else gets left behind, or it makes a new loophole. And I believe that we will always find these types of opportunities in systems when we kind of look at them with a hardcore magnifying glass, they always do open up something else or reopen something. It just tends to happen over the, I've been watching it for a long time, and I really haven't seen it not happen with every update, that certain things kind of do certain things and holes open.
Just like Steve said, you got to stay ahead of the curve too. So in SEO, I felt like I spent a few years catching up, and now I'm trying to stay ahead at this point. So that's not that I'm like way ahead of everyone, but I mean ahead of people getting in and everything. So
ahead of the curve.
I am a caveman. Yeah, exactly.
However dumb the curve is in your area,
exactly.
It differs.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I mean, I can rank for Summerfield anything right now. So I mean, the competition's not my area. So
right.
Bunny farms.
We've heard these arguments before.
Yeah, bunny farms. Yeah.
I, for the most part, agree. But just to play devil's advocate, but is there a point where the stress? I mean, like, because we know bigger black hats or other big black hats who may or may not want to be named right now, but they have like 1 million YouTube accounts or like 250 million YouTube accounts, and then YouTube catches that person, and then they have to go completely back to the drawing board.
I guess I'm too lazy to do that. So,
well, I would say that if you're only doing one thing, you're in a spot where you shouldn't be anyway. So you set that up for failure. I mean, this is not a single layer type of thing that we do. There should be multiple layers and multiple tiers. And I don't know, I've been hit in different years, with multiple tiers getting hit at the same time, and sometimes it can hurt. But if you diversify and you're doing things in multiple places, you should be able to weather those types of things.
Yeah, I also think that white hat, I look at that as more foundational. Like, you need to understand the technical aspects, because I feel that in many regards, white hat follows the more technical aspect, on page, all that stuff. I mean, a few weeks ago when Chase was like listed that big bullet point list, and I had one, I'm like, well, he doesn't have anchor text going to a site that says that, like, that's his main keyword. But I mean, all of my on page is always solid when I do it. So all the foundational stuff should be there. Then you can start playing, in my opinion.
It's a good point. I see a lot that people go out, they learn a ninja tactic, and they learn all these ninja tactics, and they can recite all the ninja tactics to you. But then when you ask someone to optimize a page, they can't do the on-page optimization.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's absolutely foundational. And there's a place for white hat in every single campaign, right? Every campaign should have a layer of something that is white hat. There's just no question about it, or else you aren't protecting yourself as much as you should be, especially if you're doing client work and things like that. So.
I like that. Every campaign should have a layer of something that is white hat.
Yeah, and I would, Josh, I would say a little bit on the black hat of the Facebook side. I see a lot of people, they'll run their own account and they'll have one account. They're trying to do a thing that is against the advertising policy, and then they'll get shut down.
Right.
And so you really got to have that strategy, like Mike was saying, is that you run it, on different layers 4 to 5 times simultaneously, so that if one goes down, the other one pops up its head, kind of like a gopher. And
yeah.
Or a bunny.
Or a bunny. You can have up to 1,000 ad accounts if you create a business manager. So, anybody out there who's attempting to do black hat on their personal Facebook page, usually probably under their cousin's name, something like that. I mean, if they switch over to the white hat version, create a business account, then you're allowed 1,000 ad accounts. So I mean, that right there would save you a lot of trouble, and using your girlfriend's name and all those kind of stuff.
You can keep a lot of history that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the good points. Good points. Let's move on now to any questions that we have in the chat here. I'm gonna do a quick search for the questions. I don't know that I don't understand that question. I will only answer questions that I understand, which means that not a lot of questions might get answered because I don't understand them. I don't know. You're gonna have to mention. Does anyone know any tips for Google PAM? What's Google PAM?
Maybe spam.
Spam?
Peanut butter?
A type of peanut butter? Who knows? I don't know what that means. Let's see. Cybrink asks, can I check the site today? No, today we're not doing site audits, but tune in next time. We can do site audits anytime. Site audits take a lot of work, and we all have to fire up tools and take a look at them. We're not doing it today, but you can email me if you need any help. By the way, before I forget to mention it, if you have any SEO questions and you need any SEO help, you can contact me. And if these guys are nice enough, maybe you can contact them too. I'll leave that for them to decide. But to contact me, you can contact me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski. And you can watch more videos like this where we give more tips, tricks, secrets, experiments, more leaks at youtube.com/jbachins. That's JBACHYNS. Let's see. What else do people ask here?
Josh, that was a good little commercial.
Thanks. I'm pretty good at commercials. Okay, so Miguel asks, what do you guys think about domains? Is .info a good domain, or is .com better? What do you guys think about TLDs?
Well, it depends what you're doing. I mean, I personally like TLDs if you're doing a campaign for a real business. I mean, you want something that they're going to think of when they go to type in your direct traffic, essentially. So I will always go back towards .com from that basic foundational level.
From a conversion standpoint, I feel like .com does better. For all my spam, I like to keep it cheap, so I'll use as cheap as I can get, whatever's on sale. So it depends on what you're trying to do, like Mike said.
That's a very good point, Brad. Google, if you want to listen to what Google says that any of the TLDs doesn't matter, including the new TLDs doesn't matter. .info, .ninja, .guru doesn't matter on that regard, unless you want to do some geolocated thing. You know, if you want to go to, you want to be in France, .fr, you know, that would help. But you don't have to do that either. You can just set it in Search Console. But that's a good point, that if you're at a .com, if people are expecting a .com, then you really should be a .com. Branding does matter because it affects conversions, which is one of those major KPIs that that Mr. Pierce was kind enough to mention earlier in the broadcast. Jason asks, do you recommend using AMP for blog pages or the entire website? Everyone's scratching their head. If you want to know my answer, Steve, of course, doesn't give a fuck because he's like, that's SEO shit. I have no idea. What's an AMP page? My answer is I hate AMP.
Yeah.
I hate AMP because of philosophical reasons.
It's just like browser wars.
It is. It's just feeding Google more content, and every time you do it, Google's getting a little bit more powerful. However, to get off my soapbox, that being said, as an SEO, it might be worth doing because it's super fast and super, for like a content info page, it's super fast and gets them the content right away. There are some limitations in terms of JavaScript, in terms of advertisements. You need to look into that to make sure that everything you need will be supported. But if you're going to go AMP, you should go AMP for the entire site, not just the blog, theoretically. Otherwise, I don't think you would get the benefits that way.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The whole site versus just the blog.
Yeah, I don't use it, so I don't have much input on it. So
there's plugins for that.
Yeah, there are plugins for that. Yeah. But it is nice. It is very convenient. I've gone to the BBC website on my mobile, and it's just like, boom, it's there. Just like in less than a second, it loads. And it is quite nice. Yeah,
the answer is if it's in the query that you are targeting, and then that page should probably be delivering AMP. You know, so,
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
It really just depends what's going on that SERP page.
Yeah, if you have no other way of getting your site speed lower, AMP could be a good way to go. If your site speed is so terrible that people are bouncing from your site and you can't get any lower, without spending like $10,000 a month for like the best server location, you might want to go AMP instead and just bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. And they asked myself, I don't know if you covered this, but what are your thoughts about the forced auto SSL provided by new version of cPanel, SEO-wise? That's a very technical question.
This, and I go over this with people constantly, but I still look at it from a link profile standpoint, in my opinion.
Yeah, same here.
Can you explain that a bit more?
I'm going to use the version that has the link profile on it in most cases of everything.
I see. So the link profile of tier 1, tier 2?
Yeah, to the website. So whatever you're marketing, where the link profile is, that's what the version that I'm going to want to use.
So we're talking about secure sock layer. We're talking about HTTPS.
Yeah, exactly.
So So just to unpack what you're talking about, because I've never heard this before. So you guys are saying, you're giving a little pro Black Hat tip, that if your money site is HTTPS, some of the backlinking sites should be HTTPS as well.
I'm going to match it up.
You would match it up just to look kind of on par.
Because of the redirects that are involved.
With the redirect, you lose 10%. So you want to.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say you want to run the version that has the most, or has the best link portfolio, so you don't lose that 10% transfer in the 301.
Okay,
Also,
interesting.
And this is not just out of ass. I've seen it. I've seen revenue increases based on just simple fixes with basically certificates and things. I've literally seen some large companies that have implemented things incorrectly technically, and when you go in and fix them, and you get that instant win in the first month. This is why these increases happen, is because of the link profile and various things like that. So I let nature determine. It's kind of one of those things. Let nature determine what you're going to do with the site. If you come in after it's had a life cycle. So if it's not a new site, I'm talking something you walk into. If you're doing client work, you're going to let the kind of natural profile determine where you're going. Now that is a caveat to that, is if it's a freaking secure transfer page where you actually are transferring secure data, then you should be using certificates. But if it's the whole site as a general, you're going to want to do that and let nature determine where you go.
That's interesting. What I think this question, from my opinion, when I reread the question, it seems to me that this person is asking, what do I think about the fact that apparently new versions of cPanel are auto-forcing SSL? If what you're telling me, DJ SGZ, if what you're telling me, dude, whatever your name is that new versions of cPanel on some platforms are forcing your website to go HTTPS, then one, that's weird. Yeah. Two, three, don't then, because you'll change your URL. If you already have a URL at xyz.com, you don't want to change it to https xyz.com, because that will make Google recalculate everything. And they don't always get that right, although they're much, much better at converting to HTTPS these days than they were.
It's not the only platform. We're just working with people that are developing on WP Engine, and they're forcing it as well. And it was a hassle to get everything fixed the way we wanted it for it, because they aren't allowing certain things like htaccess and certain things to be done on the platforms. So I guess that's actually something you really should pay attention to, in my opinion, especially when you come into a redevelopment or redesign type of campaign. If you're having to redesign, if you've got something going on, pay attention to your developers. Make sure they're doing what you want them to do. Make sure that they're putting the right locations into the new design that you want. And talk to your service providers, because there are ways around what they're telling you. And you need to find the way around it that works best for your campaign.
Yeah, that's also very good tips there as well. Yeah, I mean, designers and developers usually don't know anything about SEO, and quite often their information is out of date, and they just do it the easiest way for them, whether or not it's good for
we had
SEO.
Someone try and correct this week.
Yeah, we know.
And Mike had to talk to him instead of me, because it would have been quite a few explicatives. So he's like, well, actually, Google says this, and then I just went off.
Yeah, that happens to me every now and then.
Yeah, luckily no one was in the room. I was just yelling at myself.
It was an email chain, luckily.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike took the brunt of it, so he could take it.
Yeah, he took the hit.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Good, man. So yeah, no, I just to round off that point. Yeah, you have to pay very close attention to your designers, developers, and when you're doing a site conversion, you have to be very careful. There's lots of things you have to pay attention to. Don't change URLs if you don't need to, and if you do, make sure you have a good 301 page-to-page level 301. And realize your rankings are going to take a hit for a short period, maybe for a long time.
I've seen it take a long time. I've seen it go quickly. It really depends on multiple factors, but they have to recalculate quality score. They have to recalculate everything, essentially.
Exactly. You're right. And that's exactly what they need to do. The URL has quality score of X. You change that URL, they need to recalculate. There's no...
What I have noticed is that when it does not repair itself, if you dig around, you can usually find things that were implemented incorrectly that are blocking certain things in the algorithm or with the spiders. And if you dig enough, you can find those. And that's when you get those quick increases. So you get those quick increases in ranking, quick increases in ROI for people when you do that.
True.
So those are always fun campaigns.
Yeah, you look like the SEO hero. Some technical thing here or there you fix, and suddenly, boom, they're back. Yeah. That's like emailing John Mueller and getting it back in a day, and you're like, oh yes, I emailed John Mueller. And that's a good day when you can tell the client that.
And they go, who's John Mueller?
John Mueller is, yeah. Exactly.
John Mueller.
It's like emailing who's the guy? Zuckerberg. It's like you emailing Zuckerberg and get someone's ads going really well.
I know, it's just funny.
Steve does that for me whenever I ask him to.
Yeah. Hey Zuck. How's it going?
I call him Zucky. So,
Zucky. Your movie sucked, and the guy who played you was a douche. Anyway, so someone asked how much. So here's a question for you guys. A little tip you dropped. So here's all the questions going to start. How much traffic is necessary to ensure a link is not discounted?
It can do it with like 1 or 2. Just depends. You know, you need some engagement there, to be honest. So, and it doesn't have to be your whole profile either. It can just be a portion of your profile. You just don't want your whole profile to be like not getting any kind of referral traffic, because that looks fishy, right? That doesn't make sense to have that. So it doesn't have to be, yeah, especially with local, you don't need a ton, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you want real traffic, guys. We're not, you know, you want stuff that's going to make money for you or for your clients. You don't want stuff that's just there to be traffic. I mean, you really want to focus on the bottom line. So,
what I typically do for clients is I treat my tier 1 like a money site. And if you take that philosophy, and you may be anyone on the call that's done DAS or anything like that, if you throw a quick DAS stack to it, or you do some light linking to it to get it to rank, and hopefully it's a high DA property or it has some domain weight behind it. I don't know how relevant DA is anymore. I don't really look at it too much, but some domain weight along with it, that'll push quicker. That'll get more traffic to that page, which in turn should bring more traffic to your site. So if you treat your tier 1 like a money site, you're just going to push everything else up.
What do you guys think about brand searches?
Oh, yeah, use them.
Yeah.
I mean, you've read that. I'm sure you've read that quality score pattern, and it's absolutely important. Taking care of your brand and taking care of making sure that you are an established entity is extremely important, no matter what kind of SEO, what kind of hat you're wearing, whether it's a beef or a hat.
I can't wear hats because I've got a helmet for my head. So.
I know that. I've learned it.
You could play football without a helmet.
I could, yeah. I used to play baseball without a helmet because they couldn't. I mean.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I agree. John Mueller has been warning us about that for years. You know, and whenever he stops a hangout and says, "Hey guys, just so you know, you really should have people searching for you in Google. If no one's searching for you, that'd be a really bad thing." Now, let me ask you this question though. So, quite often I get clients come to me and they've chosen a domain name that's either exact match or partial match, and it's not a brand. It's not a name. It's not like Josh's Fruit Emporium. It's like if they're trying to rank for red apples, it's redapples.com or bestredapples.com. And they don't have a lot of people searching, or something like similar, like I don't know, appleawesome.com. And so no one's searching for Apple Awesome because of kind of the domain name they've chosen. Do you think that's going to be a huge problem, or there's ways around it?
There's always ways around it.
Read the patent. I think I tell everyone out there, go read the patent on Quality Score, and it has an answer in there, in my opinion, for you. So, and again, it's not guaranteed. It's all, of course, theory when we look at a patent and,
of course,
look at our data and put it together. But
you're talking about the 2012 Panda patent? No,
the actual quality. There's an actual Quality Score patent that was written by him. But it's not the actual Panda one.
Can you find that one, Mike? Send it over to Josh. Maybe you can post a link to it below the.
I definitely can. I think you're talking about the 2012 patent, though. I think that's the one.
I'll show here. I'll ping it over. It's actually directly. It's not Panda. It's It's from Panda, but it's not.
Yeah, it's from Panda.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't. Let me see.
Panda's a guy, by the way. For anyone who's confused,
Yeah, exactly.
Panda is a developer. He's an engineer. That's his last name. Navneet Panda.
They even made a song about him.
Steve's getting really confused. No, Navneet Panda is an engineer at Google. At least he used to be.
I thought it was the inappropriate panda or something like that.
No, not inappropriate panda. Not hashtag panda. Navneet Panda
That was
is
my
a guy
nickname.
who works at Google, and he made the Panda algorithm originally. He's the one who's been working on this quality stuff for quite some time.
All right,
That's
hold
why
on.
it's called Panda. Okay, while you're looking for that, Mike, Charlie Harridge asks, how important is optimized Google page speed insight score? Speed is important. It's really important to make sure that for your quality score, to make sure that you're getting the search termination, that people are not annoyed and clicking back. I went on a site just today, and it took literally 6 seconds to get anything on the screen. I waited 6 seconds.
You waited that long?
Sorry?
You waited that long? You must have really wanted to.
I had to. I was paid to go there.
Oh, there
The only
you go.
reason why I stayed is because a client sent me there. That's the only
Gotcha.
reason why. I would have bounced right away.
Yeah,
And I
well,
almost
it's
did
all
bounce,
about-
even though I was being paid to be there.
Yeah, that's all just bounce rate. You know, you don't want people clicking back to Google. So
Exactly. So that's why it's important. And again, as I said, if you can't change, you know, if you're loading 10 JS files and 10 CSS files, you don't need to do that. If you're serving on really slow servers, serve on faster servers. There are pretty easy ways to fix speed. We could have a bigger hangout about it on a later date.
So this one I was talking about was granted in 2015. It's filed in 2012.
2015? Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah,
Well
just
then.
sent it to you.
Was that the
Here it
Orion
is.
update?
I will
What's
put it
that?
in the chat here. I put it in the chat, and I'll put it in the description as well, because I always ask after. Link to Mike's patent. He mentions.
they
I will
call
put
it
it
the
there in the
Sasquatch update.
description.
I think it was orangutan.
That's it. That's yours. That's a Facebook update.
Oh, for some reason, it doesn't like it. I'll have to put it through Bitly. Okay, email us if you want that. If you want it, email
Yeah,
me.
make them email. Make them send out something. Make
Yeah,
them work
email me and send me money. No, I'm just kidding. Email.
for the donate.
Donate to my cause.
Important to remember, guys. Patents are patents. When you read stuff, keep it in mind. You gotta have data to back it up. And so if you don't have data and you're not testing and you're not doing this, I don't think they don't really do much for you. So if you have data that you
Well,
can
usually
put
we
down-
have the data before. Yeah, if you're staying ahead, you should have the data before. Then when it comes out, you're like, yeah, that confirms what I've been saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep on
If you've been
keeping
paying
on.
attention, suddenly a patent comes out and you're like, that explains exactly what I've been seeing for the last few months.
That pisses me off when the patents come out. Then everyone starts talking about what I've been talking about, and then people catch up a little.
Right. Then you got to move to the next thing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Daniel asks, hey, Josh, what are your thoughts on the best ways to boost social signals for Google? Is one platform the most effective?
I just buy likes from Steve.
I go, Steve. What's the budget on this campaign?
Yeah, how much does it take? If you're gonna want, Facebook's the only place right now, the easiest way to get social links and things like that. Again,
Social.
yeah, I mean you could do Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff, but Facebook.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about wanting to convert stuff, though, Steve. So we're talking about Facebook, not Twitter.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. The only viable algorithm right now is Facebook in terms of the ad. I mean, Twitter is a fire hose. YouTube's just a search engine. So you really should be on Facebook for social.
Yeah, no, definitely. Facebook is the place to be for social, for sure. By far, it's the biggest social network. I mean, hands down.
And you can do Instagram at the same time. So it's really easy. Do those two.
Yeah, Steve
Daniel-
posts all his flexing videos on Instagram. So
Yeah. Yep.
Have you seen those yet?
Flex and Steve.
yeah, Flex
Daniel.
and Steve at Flex and Steve.
Yeah. That hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. To answer your question, Daniel, so other than certain little sneaky tricks you can use, like to buy Pinterest ads to get Pinterest links, or to do various things on Twitter to get people interacting with you, Facebook is probably the best place to be. You're gonna have to pay a little bit of money, but if you have an expert like Steve working with you, it doesn't have to cost a lot, and you can build up traction on your organic. You link your Facebook to your website, and your website links back to in an icon to your Facebook page. And Google will see those signals, and they do use these signals as a sense of trust. I've been able to rank affiliate sites using these kinds of methods pretty well, and they seem to like to use it to say, this is a real site with real people engaging with it. And if you can get real people engaging with it, you don't need to boost it per se. But there are shades of exploitation you can do in that regard.
If your friend list is niched enough and you think people are going to click through and the engagement's there, you can just post on your wall and rank stuff sometimes if the competition's low enough.
True.
Just boost up.
I had to do that for there was a bouncy house place in LA that screwed with my nephew. So we used Facebook to kind of get the message out there, and it was instant. So I agree 100% on that. When you have the right profile, right friends on your profile, it absolutely can pop up quickly.
Yeah, influencers. And so, I mean, Google knows who's an influencer and who's not, and they've had algorithms for 5 years on that, how to determine who's an influencer. And if they talk with you, suddenly you do get some ranking juice peripherally kind of out of those kinds of things. The last two questions. Sorry, go ahead.
One more thing real quick. I just saw in the chat, somebody said Reddit. Reddit's really good if you have a kind of a nerd niche. Just be careful. They will bombard your ad. If it's corny, they'll ruin you. And then another one to keep an eye out is Imager. You can advertise on that. And if you're trying to hit like a 17 to 25-year-old, kind of semi-pervert, that's a good.
What's your favorite subreddit, Steve?
Mine? I'm trying to think. Probably fun things to do with the kids.
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah.
Good subreddit.
Bouncy houses and trampoline parks and stuff. Yeah, I got you.
I'm escaping this conversation very quickly because I don't know what you meant by that. So I'm just run out of that conversation. Okay, the last two questions. Jason asks, if and when I break down and switch to SSL, is that going to result in a new quality score calculation? That's a great question. Nobody knows for sure. Typically, I would say yes, that has to result in a new quality score calculation because you changed your URL. And like I said, this URL has this quality score. You change the URL, they have to recalculate a new quality score. But that being said, I know they have shortcuts to convert to HTTPS. They have algorithms made specifically just to see, did you just switch to HTTPS and everything's the same? Okay, we'll just bump you up to HTTPS because people have been converting to it and they've been complaining that it hasn't worked. And so Google has made that a little bit easier. So at the end of the day, I don't know. I suspect if you had to make me guess, I'd say they'd probably use your old quality score and just bumped you, as long as everything was the same. It was completely.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't a redesign with it. Exactly.
Yeah. If it was a complete parody, my best guess is that they would let you keep your quality score. But if you change any other part of the URL, and I mean like add a trailing slash, all bets are off, right?
And the content as well, and the design, I would say they would probably start to reevaluate. So not even just the URL. If you change over and you do some content and design stuff at the same time, you're going through a reevaluation.
Definitely, yeah. If anything changes at all, if it has a different checksum, period, is a recalculation. And the last question today from Victor, it's a very simple question. He asks quite simply, how do you rank?
Triple T.
Triple T.
Yeah.
That's how you rank, triple T. Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. Well, everyone's, what's triple T? What's going on? We'll just let you sit with that, and you guys can think what triple T is. So thanks very much, guys. It was a great show today. I would like to thank Brad Mabry, Mike Pierce, and Steve Fantasia for being on the show. Guys, do you have any final parting comments you'd like to make? Any last thoughts?
Go to bed, Larceny.
Yeah. He hasn't been to bed for days, but yeah, make money. That's all I say. Don't let tell people.
Damn.
Yeah.
Go to bed, make money. Steve?
Inappropriate panda.
Inappropriate panda. Get to the chopper.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Remember the traffic.
Remember the traffic.
One of
From
the
earlier in
three
the
Gs.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll just say, everyone, good luck in the SERPs. So thanks very much for watching. And if you like the show, Chase is not here to cajole you into liking it. So if you like the show, we would really appreciate it if you click the like button. If you hated it, click the down button.
And if you want to replace me with Chase for good, click the like button. So,
right. If you want to see us, As I recall from last week, however, there is one last thing to handle. As I recall, someone lost a certain bet, a certain competition. I believe the penalty of losing was to do the chicken dance.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is true. If you watch last week's episode, I think that Steve lost the competition, and he's supposed to do the chicken dance now.
I think
so. On our way out, kind of like an intro that kind of ends with a song. Steve is going to do the chicken dance, and I'll sing the chicken dance for him. He can dance it, and we'll stop the show. Are you ready?
What's the chicken?
3, 2.